I'm Malcolm Van Delst, and this is an excerpt from Do the Wrong Thing, a book series or extra long novel that opens with a woman trying to kill herself. She says, I don't know why I tried to do this, and by way of explanation, tells her life story. We're at the beginning of book 4. Working title is Eyes of Different Color. Last week in Eyes of Different Color, Ava quit temping for government agencies and moved in with some squares. And that was from a chapter called Naked Ambition. And I'll just finish that chapter and then go on to the next one. My youngest brother, Christian, visits me in the city. Since I haven't been able to see him unless I go home, and since I don't go home because mom thinks I'm a bad influence. Okay, I guess I need to explain for those who haven't read Shiny Pretty Gothic, the book before it, Trouble Girl, or the first book, Do the Wrong Thing. I have two brothers who are 8 and 13 years younger than me, Stephen and Christian, respectively. I looked after them a lot as a kid and developed, well, mother-like feelings for them. But when my mom kicked me out after high school, she wouldn't let me see them because I was a bad influence. She had wanted me to forgo university and stay home and study bookkeeping. She wanted to study bookkeeping because financial work was more interesting than child, house, and farm labor, what she'd done since her parents took her out of school when she was 12. And she'd realized she could learn along with her kids when she learned to read and write English with us when we were in primary school. She speaks and writes English really well for someone with so little education, by the way. And she frequently talked bitterly about having to quit school to look after her siblings. Anyway, she wouldn't let me see Christian and Stephen after she kicked me out for insisting on going to university, and it hurt like hell. When I was a kid, I didn't want to look after them. I wanted to play, but once I started, I bonded with them in a way I never have since, even to this day in 2017, with friends. It's possible I'm autistic. I've never been examined or diagnosed, but I've also never fit in with my peers and see how my autistic nephew likes to teach younger kids and absolutely loses it when he has to give up computer time. And I think, yeah, that's me. Anyway, back to 1987. Stephen is a teenager, busy with his friends. Mom lets 10-year-old Christian visit me. What a breakthrough. I'll take him to Forever in a Day, and he can be amazed at the hip place I work. He'll love it. I'll buy him cheesecake and hot chocolate. Christian sits at the table, hardly touching his cheesecake, not talking. I flounder. It's been 5 years since I've spent any real time with him, and he was 5 then. We're at a window looking out on George Street. A snowplow passes. He jumps up in his seat and cranes his neck to watch it pass, eyes big and round. It is a big machine, ripping down the street, pushing 4-foot snowbanks even higher, lights flashing, beepers beeping. How do I express my love for Christian? How much I've missed him. How much I want for him. Happiness, to not be lonely, security, solidity, ground beneath his feet, you know. He's excited about a machine, but not my fancy cafe. At the apartment, we both sleep on my futon, and tomorrow Aunt Else will take him home when she drives back to Dardanelle to visit her and Mom's mom, my grandmother. I didn't walk around naked when Christian was here, by the way. I wouldn't be stupid enough to jeopardize seeing him again. At home, he'll go to church. Mom usually goes in the morning, but she'll make an exception this once to go at night to allow him to visit me. Next chapter, Bald Ambition. We could start with a trim and go from there. How about that? My old release friend Wally asks. Okay. I'm in Wally's kitchen in his apartment across the street where I lived with Beth and Pierre. I'm actually visiting Neil, another of my release roommates. Neil has moved from the old place I had with him and Dorothy to a new one with his other friends, Rick and Bradley, on the top floor of a house the three of them bought together in St. Boniface, a supposedly dangerous and gang-run neighborhood. They rent out the suites below. Neil, Rick, and Bradley have a lot of parties. I'm rarely the only one sleeping over when I visit. How is this? Wally asks, holding up a mirror. I look the same, hair still hiding my shoulders. Wally smiles. Release is only a couple hours from Arbor, so it's easy to bus there. St. Boniface is poorer and further from the downtown core than Borden, where I lived with Neil and Dorothy, but I don't feel scared walking around it. Wally still lives in Ralee's arty, creative district, the village, in the same apartment he lived in when we were neighbors. Beth, Pierre, and I lived across the street from Wally, though we weren't in the village, like he and his boyfriend, because the street we lived on, Serrato Boulevard, is the westmost border I missed living in the village by about 10 feet. It seems ages ago that I was Wally's neighbor. I've moved 6 times since then. I'm not embarrassed by Arbor, my unhip town of residence, anymore, at least not with patient Wally. Being here in Release is a hip thing I can talk about back at work in Arbor. How about a long bob? Wally asks. What's that? All one length at the bottom. I'll cut it just above your shoulders. That'll be almost 10 inches off total. Wally is a hairdresser, if you hadn't guessed. Sure. Wally smiles in the bemused, affectionate way he always does. I never understand someone as cool and connected to the club scene as him, liking me. He moves the mirror around my head when he's done. What do you think? He asks. I shrug. I don't say what's in my head, that it's kind of plain. No way, he chuckles. Can I try something? Sure. Next, he holds the mirror up to show me a cut where the left side of my hair grazes the bottom of my ear, but gets longer around the back until it skims my shoulder on the right. Maybe make the whole thing shorter again? Chin length bob on the right and grazing the top of my ear on the left. Still leaves me flat. What about shaving the whole thing off? I ask, exasperated. Wally studies my face for a second. I was thinking the same, but you sure? That's 15 years of hair growth gone. Yeah, I stutter. I want to sound sure of myself, and I don't. Wally puts his scissors down. Let me get my clipper. Bangs or a fringe around the bottom? He asks, re-entering the kitchen. No, I hate those. He smiles again, then snaps away with scissors, bringing my hair as short as possible. Look at the floor, he says. Whoa. He's standing in a fluffy sea of hair, about 5 feet wide and 8 inches high. Wally plugs in the clipper. I don't think you want to go shorter than this 1/4-inch comb, he says. She definitely likes me. So does her girlfriend. They both look at me with overflowing eyes and wide, huge smiles, even though they're a couple. The Caucasian, short-haired blonde smiles more. Ah, I get it. She's the man. She's, oh, hey, you're hot. I like you. While her long-haired black or biracial girlfriend is, hey, aren't I hot? Do you like me? Wait. It's not the smiles so much as the long eye contact. I've seen this before. Basically, if you don't look away, a lesbian will hold your gaze forever. I'm attracted at first, someone glowing at me, not wanting to look away. And even now, after I know it's a sort of signal, I like it, even if I'm not. Well, maybe I am. The two smiling women run Women's Journal. Women's Journal. With that name, the paper could carry articles like quick recipes for busy moms and how to update last year's wardrobe without breaking the bank. It doesn't. I forgive them the odd name. Arbor is cold, small, and government occupied. Feminists have to be ambiguous and non-threatening. Besides, it's the only feminist paper in town. Every one of the 15 women around this conference table is lesbian. I'm sure of it. There's an energy and knowingness. Diverse, too. Beside the owner, I'm the only blonde, blue-eyed Caucasian. 2 other women in particular beam at me. One is Greek, I think, a largest nose and straight auburn hair. The other is an older but beautiful mulatto. Why do I call her mulatto and the first biracial? Because she's more black-looking, I guess. Footnote. To be fair, she'll later call herself mulatto, so that's where I got that. She's shortish, with no breasts and a big butt, while the first woman has long, thick curls, loose, not tight like an afro, and a prominent nose. Is it the nose that makes her biracial in my mind instead of mulatto? She looks like a white person with dark skin, while the second looks like a light-skinned black. The mulatto woman wears purple braided extensions and gold wire-rimmed glasses. She talks a lot, loudly, and laughs even more. There's something overdone about her. Eyes too bright and energy too electric. She's beautiful, though. You want to work in outreach? The owner's girlfriend asked me. Sure. Well, what does that involve? You'll call people on the phone and ask them if they want to renew their subscriptions, for starters. Okay. I want to write stories, but I'm too shy to ask.